That's all I know.
They also want to know if you're going to be in Germany anytime soon.
I would love to come to Germany, and I would love it if a German publisher would see fit to publish my book in German. I've had 2 other books published in German. One was Boys Don't Cry, and the other was not All She Wanted. It was The FBI Killer, which they called An All for Love in Germany. I don't understand why German publishers have shied away from this book when it's been published in France and in Bulgaria and Romania and Japan and China, and I don't really understand it, but we certainly have approached my foreign agent has approached German publishers about publishing Michael Jackson Conspiracy in German, and they don't want it. For whatever reason, they don't feel it would sell, I guess.
So if you're in Germany, you might want to start putting the pressure on those German publishers.
We want the book.
That's right. Tell
I would love it to have it be in German, especially since I've been published in German before, twice in my career. I don't get it, but
right.
It's very weird when it comes to Michael Jackson that you'll find things that you never expected in a million years. That's being one of them.
Little prejudices.
Prejudice. There's still a lot of people in the media who believe he's, they have this tarnish around him, and they just want to focus on that. And there's this whole, it's like they're waiting with bated breath for this Conrad Murray hearing that in trial, that so they can get all this dirt again. I believe that. It's sad, but it's true.
They want to know where they can buy the book, by the way. I assume it's... Actually, you said it's not being published right now.
Yeah, there's nowhere to buy. There's nowhere to buy the book right now.
In the U.S.
Nowhere to buy the book in the world. In the U.S. I mean, yes, it's going to be in Italian, and it's in all those other countries and in their native languages. But in English, it's not available at the moment until probably the Michael's birthday. And at that point, I don't know how I'm going to distribute it. Just maybe from my own website. I have a website, AphroditeJones.com. So I would say that's where it will become available from.
All right, absolutely. And we'll link it on our site, I'm sure. We'll get you selling some of those books,
all
boy.
Right, thank
She's going to be calling me up in a couple weeks going, I love you guys.
Well, yeah, that would be great. I'd appreciate that.
Absolutely.
There's still so many questions, but there's one that I found very interesting, and
they're going quick. They're scrolling.
They are. It's going
it's
crazy.
very fast.
I can't keep up. But one wanted to know, APHR wanted to know if Gavin and Jordy decided to come forward and say this never really happened or tell the truth, whatever, would they actually be allowed to?
Get it off their conscience? I would think you'd want to at this point.
Well, no, not just the want to, but would they be allowed to, based on the settlements and stuff that happened?
Have like anonymity or something?
No, not just anonymity. I mean, what would happen to them? Would they end up in jail? Or I mean, what would happen to them if they were to come forward?
Good question.
It is a good question. Well, in the case of Gavin Ravizzo, if he were to come forward and say none of that ever happened, then he cost the taxpayers in California millions of dollars, and he would be held criminally liable, and probably for that, for false statements. And certainly there must be some kind of charge that pertains to impeaching yourself and lying on the stand. I mean, perjury is a criminal charge, especially when you get on the stand and lie. So, I mean, he would be facing some serious music there. I mean,
let's get him on the phone, Chris.
Michael Jackson
make that
happen. And I think, when it comes to Jordy Chandler, what possible impetus could he have for coming out and saying this never happened? I mean, he accepted all that money so long ago. He's set for life with all the whatever money he has. And he's become an anonymous figure in terms of we don't know what he looks like, really, anything about him. Jordy Chandler was asked by the FBI to come in and testify in the Santa Maria case. At least that's the findings I have. It doesn't mention his name. It just says a 1993, quote, victim was approached by FBI agents for the sake of the Santa Barbara DA back in 2004. I have it in the new version of my book written down in there, that this individual, a male, was met with by 2 FBI agents in New York City in a hotel, and he informed the FBI that he was not going to cooperate. He was not going to testify against Jackson. And furthermore, if anyone tried to force him to testify against Michael Jackson, that he would invoke his legal rights to not do so. So I think the answer is that either which way, whether he would testify positive or negative, Jordy Chandler's never going to say another word about Michael Jackson publicly. We'll never hear anything from him. So it's kind of a moot question. But yeah, I guess if he came forward, because it was a civil situation in that case, he would be probably stoned by Michael Jackson's fans.
Well, I'll tell you what.
I
if
wouldn't
you-
be surprised because his father was beaten up many times. Right? I got the right father? Yes.
I don't know about many times, but I think there were a few instances.
Yeah, what I read was he had a lot of plastic surgery just to change his look so that people wouldn't recognize him because he was being attacked. So I can't even imagine what would happen to the actual accuser.
Right.
Yeah, I think he'd be stoned.
Yeah.
Well, you need a couple thousand books. There's a lot of people here that want that book. I'm telling you, this is just it's scrolling so hard. It's hard to see exactly what
What
the
about
questions
having
are.
another Michael Jackson song again?
Well, I'm trying to get to that, but we got a lot of questions. You got any more? Or we can go to the phone?
Oh, yeah. Do I have more?
All right. Well, why don't we do a couple of quick videos,
Okay.
and then we'll come back. Well, you can get your questions together. I'm going to try to bang out 2 videos, one right after the other, so there may be a little bit of a break.
Okay.
So
go ahead, ask your questions. I'm jotting them down.
Yeah, ask your questions. We're jotting them down as we go, and we'll ask Aphrodite when we get back.
Okay.
Okay, here we go.
Okay, can I go off to...
Okay, well, you guys hate commercials, so we're back. Sorry, Aphrodite, you had to take a break. All right, well, we're back with Aphrodite. Aphrodite Jones. Now, just before we forget, we don't want to, you're going to be on Sky TV tomorrow, right? Which is to Italy.
Right.
And then you got the book coming out in Italy, too, because of, I guess, the TV thing is about the book, right?
So that's what... decided to release the book in Italian on the day of his anniversary of his death.
Okay, well, I guess that'll work out pretty good then, because it's the anniversary of his death, right? So it works out.
Yeah. Right.
And
okay. We got a person who's asked the same question repeatedly. And I know you've answered this already, and everybody has already given this person a hard time about this question. But I'm going to ask it so they don't ask it again. They want to know why you waited until he was dead to write the book. But we all know you wrote it before.
Yeah.
When was the book first published?
I wrote the book in 2006. I actually did the research for the book in 2005 and 2006 and brought it out in 2007. So it came out 2 years before Michael died.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
I didn't wait until he was dead to write
So you know what, Aphrodite, she's got this big filing cabinet of books on everybody. Probably got one on me. So as soon as I kick the bucket, the book's out the next day.
Well, there are
The true Chuck Schultz story. Bum, bum, bum.
Right. I think there are a lot of people who have tried to capitalize on his death and are bringing books out now, whether they're picture books or there are some journalists I've been told that are planning books. That's all well and good, but I wrote something that I wanted to try to straighten the record out while he was alive, and I had, of course, did any of us have any idea that he wouldn't be with us today?
Absolutely not.
Absolutely not.
No.
I honestly didn't even give it any thought. I mean, it was like, he was going to be there. I mean,
Well, that's just it. We were so used to having Michael Jackson in our lives, especially our generation growing up with him.
Yeah.
That he's a fixture. He's a fixture.
Right.
We all believe that he was going to live forever, and in a way, he will live forever. But
He will,
I don't think
but
anybody
not the
could
way-
foresee
not the way we'd
that
like,
at 50 years old, poof.
Yeah, no, who would think that? And like you said before, growing up with Michael Jackson, the Osmonds, Jimmy Osmond, and the Partridge Family, Danny Partridge,
Right.
I didn't have a clue as a kid. So to me, all these little kids, oh look, a kid playing the bass, I can do that, so I played bass.
Yeah.
Oh, look, a kid singing, I didn't do, but the guitar, the bass, the drums, So it honestly, it got me involved in music.
Which is a cool thing. Michael Jackson's music has inspired so many people to become dancers,
Absolutely.
to become singers, to become performers,
Yeah.
and you see them in the Michael Jackson people who do the lookalikes as well.
Yeah.
And some of them are incredible, really incredible singers and performers, dancers. But certainly every dancer you see interviewed on the This Is It documentary, said, Michael Jackson inspired me to dance, and it's beyond an honor to be on the same stage with him. Those dancers were selected for that video, for the stage, for
Yeah.
the performance of This Is It. It's odd that he decided to call it This Is It,
Yeah, right.
isn't it?
It is.
Yeah.
It was almost fortuitous, like in a way.
This is
on
it.
some psychic level.
I think in his mind, this was the last tour. This is going to be it. The last one.
that was his, certainly that what he was trying to say to people, that I'm done. This is it.
On a different light, you say to yourself, "Ooh,
it's very strange."
That's very strange. Yes.
Cosmic.
Yeah, actually. Okay, what else you got? Bang them out.
This one's cute. Buttercup says her 5-year-old wants to be Michael Jackson when he grows up.
Absolutely.
Don't we all? Don't we all?
There was something, a question about an unreleased album in 2009. Do you know anything about it?
Oh, I don't honestly know anything about what the estate is doing with Michael's songs. He wrote a number of songs that have never been published and that left for his children. But I'm in no way, shape, or form connected to the Jackson estate and the decisions of the estate as to what they do with Michael's music.
I've on the lower line chats there, I chat with a lot of people that are in the know and engineers and sound engineers and the like. From what I gather, that Michael used to do about 100 to 120 songs for every album, and then pick which ones he wanted to go on it.
Wow,
and,
I didn't know that.
Yeah, so he's got a whole vault of something somewhere. I mean, even Lenny Kravitz played with him on a song. They recorded with it for 2 weeks. And it never made it to an album. So, I mean, that's floating around somewhere, too. So, there's plenty. There's plenty in there.
I think that, ultimately there will be various releases of new music. And
you know what? I hope he breaks records with that, too. I just love to see him do this. And you know what? It shuts up those people that are, blah, blah, blah. You know.
Yeah.
He hit the Billboard charts from his grave. I mean, who can say they ever did that?
What does it say when you look at the children today who have no clue as to who Michael Jackson was, who are out there dancing to Thriller on Halloween? And
they don't really know what it's all about.
They don't even know Michael Jackson, who really Michael Jackson was, but they see his performance, and it's so compelling that even to new generations, they are compelled to. My own family, we got together and the kids staged a whole Thriller dance on Halloween this past year. And that was not my idea. That was the kids' idea. I mean, they practiced it. And you look at that whole prison in the Philippines, all those prisoners that spent months and years or whatever it was to put together the dance from Thriller. Have you ever seen that video footage? It's on YouTube. They're all in orange jumpsuits. It's become kind of famous. And again, people feel inspired to.
And what's it, from the Philippines?
Yes, it's from the Philippines. It was inmates, and actually they sell T-shirts. I believe they became known and infamous or notoriously known for having done that dance, and that was before Michael's passing. So he lives on, definitely.
Yeah. This one keeps coming up over and over again. The wrongful death suit, why is it taking so long? Why are the mugshots from Conrad Murray disappeared? It's a whole thing about the whole wrongful death thing. What do you think?
Well, it's not a wrongful death suit. It's actually a criminal suit brought by the state of California and the Los Angeles DA for involuntary manslaughter. It's a very serious, homicide charge, and this man, Conrad Murray, will be facing incredible scrutiny. The music's going while I'm talking.
Know. What's going on?
Is it?
Yes. What are you doing?
Sorry. Go ahead.
Oops.
Talk amongst yourselves.
We had a Thriller there. I think that first of all, the wheels of justice don't ever turn quickly in the United States, and the fact that they're even going to have the preliminary hearing in August, as they say, is in and about the right amount of time that it would take for something to come to trial, something with this kind of publicity around it of this magnitude. Right. So it's not unusual at all that it would have taken this long, over a year, to get to prelim, as they call it. That said, once the prelim happens, then there will be a trial, and it will be sometime. I spoke to Tom Mesereau about this at the time that Michael died, and it was his opinion that the trial would not happen until 2011, and it looks to me like he may be right, or he said late 2010 or early 2011, and that was just knowing the system as it works. So
right.
The question as to why it hasn't come sooner ask the justice system in the United States and in the state of California. It's a process, and remember, there's discovery. There's two sides to the coin. There's this man Conrad Murray, who is a doctor who has a legal team that his obligation is to do due diligence and find records and work toward trying to prove that this man was not guilty. And then there's the prosecutorial team who are doing the same thing, and it's involved. I mean, you don't just run into a courtroom. You have to interview witnesses. You got to find evidence. You got to pull search warrants, and it's an ordeal. And people, I think, want instant justice, and there's no such thing anyway. But eventually there will be a trial, and we will see certainly plenty of images of Conrad Murray